In 2026, the United States finds itself once again at the center of a heated immigration debate. The southern border has become more than just a geographical line separating two nations. It has transformed into a political battlefield, a humanitarian crisis zone, and a defining issue for the upcoming national elections. Images of crowded border crossings, overwhelmed facilities, and tense confrontations between state and federal authorities dominate headlines. Supporters call it a humanitarian responsibility. Critics call it a failure of leadership. The question, echoing across the country, is simple yet explosive: is America losing control of its immigration system tonight? We break down the illegal immigration surge, the Texas border situation, the growing federal versus state conflict, national security concerns, the economic impact of migration, and how all of this could shape the 2026 election. Chapter 1: The surge at the southern border. Over the past several years, border encounters have fluctuated, but 2026 is witnessing another significant spike. Thousands of migrants from Latin America, Africa, and even parts of Asia are making the dangerous journey north. Several key factors are driving this surge: economic instability in home countries, political unrest and violence, climate-related disasters, perception of relaxed enforcement policies in the United States. Smuggling networks have become more sophisticated. Social media spreads information rapidly, sometimes inaccurately, about asylum policies and border loopholes. Border Patrol agents report being stretched thin. Processing centers are overwhelmed. Temporary shelters are filled beyond capacity. Critics argue that current federal policies act as a magnet, encouraging more arrivals. Supporters argue that global crises are the true driver and that America has both a moral and legal obligation to process asylum seekers. The reality is complex. Chapter 2: Texas versus Federal Government. The most dramatic flashpoint in 2026 is Texas. Texas state officials claim that the federal government has failed to secure the border. In response, the state has deployed its own National Guard, expanded razor wire barriers, and increased law enforcement presence. This has created a direct clash between state authority and federal power. The U.S. Constitution gives the federal government authority over immigration enforcement. However, states argue they have the right to defend themselves against what they describe as an invasion. Legal battles have reached federal courts. At times, federal agents have been blocked from certain areas controlled by state forces. Political rhetoric has intensified with accusations of lawlessness on both sides. Supporters of Texas say the state is stepping in where Washington has failed. Critics say immigration policy cannot be fragmented by individual states. This tension has raised fundamental constitutional questions about the balance of power in America. Chapter 3: National security concerns. One of the strongest arguments made by those demanding stricter border control is national security. Officials warn that while many migrants are families seeking safety, the sheer volume of crossings makes it difficult to properly vet every individual. Concerns include drug trafficking, particularly fentanyl, human smuggling operations potential, entry of individuals with criminal backgrounds, terrorism risks. Federal data shows large quantities of illegal drugs are seized at ports of entry, but critics argue that open border chaos creates vulnerabilities. National security experts are divided. Some say the majority of migrants pose no threat and overstating risks fuels fear. Others argue that even small security gaps can have serious consequences. The debate continues with no easy answers. Chapter 4: The humanitarian dimension. Behind every statistic is a human story. Families travel thousands of miles facing violence, exploitation, and harsh conditions. Many migrants arrive exhausted, dehydrated, and traumatized. Human rights organizations argue that overcrowded detention centers and prolonged processing times create inhumane conditions. They call for expanded asylum processing, faster legal pathways, and more funding for humanitarian support. Local communities along the border feel the immediate impact. Hospitals, schools, and shelters sometimes struggle with sudden increases in population. Some cities have declared states of emergency. Others have embraced migrants and sought federal assistance. The humanitarian side of the crisis often gets overshadowed by political arguments, but it remains central to the debate. Chapter 5: Economic Impact of migration. Immigration has always played a major role in the American economy. The debate is not simply about numbers but about economic consequences. Supporters argue migrants fill labor shortages, they contribute to tax revenue. They support industries like agriculture, construction, and hospitality. Long-term demographic growth strengthens the economy. Critics argue sudden surges strain local welfare systems. Low-skilled wage competition affects American workers. Housing markets face additional pressure. Healthcare systems become overloaded. Economic studies show mixed results, depending on region, industry, and timeframe. In some states, employers actively request more migrant labor. In others, communities feel overwhelmed by rapid change. The economic impact of immigration is not uniform. It varies dramatically across America. Chapter 6. The 2026 election factor. With elections approaching, immigration has once again become one of the most powerful political issues in America. Candidates are framing the border crisis in dramatically different ways. Some promise mass deportations, stricter enforcement, and border wall expansion. Others promise comprehensive immigration reform, expanded legal pathways, and humanitarian protections campaign. Ads feature border footage, emotional interviews, and strong rhetoric. Polls suggest immigration is among the top concerns for voters alongside inflation and national security. The outcome of the 2026 election could reshape immigration policy for years to come. Part 1, approximately 1,500 plus words, detailed documentary style. Agar tum chaho to main. Next part main cover Kurunga deep policy analysis, historical comparison with previous crises, detailed statistics breakdown, media role and misinformation, future scenarios, 2027 to 2030 global reaction, long-term demographic impact, border technology and surveillance, cartel networks analysis, public opinion trends.